All right, so it's election day here in America, and I'm about to tell you who I'm voting for. All right, so before I even start this video, I want to say, man, I have like good friends on the left and good friends on the right. I'm somewhere in the middle, man. I'm conservative on some issues and I'm liberal on some issues too. I'm somewhere in the middle. And to be clear, I don't really think that the president has that much influence on my life. It has some, for sure, but not nearly as much influence as I have on my life. And I want you to remember that too. Like, the president will have some impact on your life, but not nearly as much impact as you have on your own life. People have become millionaires under Barack. People became millionaires under both the Bush boys, or the Clintons, and Trump. Right? And to be clear, this is still one of the best times to be a human on earth in all of history. The average household income in America goes up every few years, despite if we have a Democratic president or a Republican president. This year is an outlier, but on average, Americans live longer and longer each year. Life expectancy continues to increase. In the long term, things just keep getting better here on earth for humans. We have, some peaks and valleys, but it's trending up. It's always trending up. If you look 40 years ago, it was way worse than it is now. If you look at 80 years ago, it was way worse than it was 40 years ago. On a long-term horizon, it's always trending up for humanity, and I see no end in sight, no matter who becomes president. This is not going to be the hugest deal. I really believe that. But your life, what's going to happen in your life in the next 4 years, that's not up to the president. That's mostly up to you. It'll have some impact, but it's insignificant compared to how much you can impact your life. And I think that's something people need to take into account. Instead of actually arguing with people and getting all heated about this, it's like, yo, what can I do for me? What can I do for my community? What can I do for my family? And you can do a lot, but that's not what you wanted to hear. You clicked on this video because you wanted to find out who I'm voting for. Well, most of my life I voted Democratic, but you knew that because I live in New York and I'm black. However, I am a millionaire now. Things have changed. If you are familiar with internet marketing, if you know about ClickFunnels, you know they get these awards when you do over $1 million selling your own products through one of their funnels, and I have several of these. I mean, I got so many awards. I don't have room for them. That's my biggest problem. You worried about who's gonna be president. I'm worried about where I'm gonna put all the trophies. I digress. I started looking at other options once I started making significant money because my taxes are high as hell. Okay, I live in New York, so I gotta pay that New York tax, but I live in New York City, so it's even more. And I can't move because my son lives here with his mom, and it's like, all right, I'm not gonna be away from my son. So, all right, so I'm thinking federal tax rates, president can impact that. So I'm just thinking, all right, I started looking at the Republican Party, see what they got to offer. And listen, if it was all about low taxes and small government, y'all sign me up, baby. I'm conservative on some issues. I'm liberal on other issues, right? So I was a person who was really looking, watching the first debate, and I was like, all right, let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see what's gonna happen. And then they asked Trump to condemn white supremacy, and he told him, he's listening, stand back and stand by. And I was like, And I talked to some of my other friends, some conservative friends about this. Good friends of mine who are conservatives, and they're strong Trump supporters. And they're like, he's condemned them before. How many times does he have to condemn these people? I'm like, yo, every time, bro. If they ask him about ISIS, he won't be like, I told you how I feel about ISIS. I told you how I feel about terrorists. I told you how I feel about illegal aliens, man. I don't have to get into that now. No, he condemns them every time. He condemns groups like Antifa unsolicited. He'll just come out of nowhere. The question to be about something else, and he'll just start condemning Antifa, right? But when it comes to these guys, he's like, no, stand back, stand by, right? And what the stand by was like, that's something you would tell the homies, like people on your team. So, once he said that, I just couldn't vote for Trump. So that left me in a precarious position, being a millionaire and a black man, I really felt like no matter which way I vote, I'm voting against my self-interest. So I actually was not going to vote at all. I wasn't going to vote at all. I was just like, well, f it. I live in New York. We know how the Electoral College works. New York State is going to go Democratic like it always does. No matter which way I vote, it won't really have an impact. So I just won't get involved in it. I don't want to, no big deal. I don't want to wait no long ass lines. And my mom was harassing me about voting, right? She's from the civil rights era, right? So voting's a big deal. They fall for it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to vote for those same reasons. And she was like, well, what if everybody thought like that? What if everybody thought like that? I was like, yeah, what if a lot of things, Mom? We live in the real world. We know what's going to happen in New York. It's going to vote Democratic. So whatever. And then I just kind of thought about it. And she reminded me that, a lot of people fought and gave their lives for me to have the opportunity to vote and to make my voice heard. And I didn't want to lie to her and say I didn't vote. So I did vote. Who did I vote for? I voted for Kanye West. Not because I think he's a good candidate or good for the country or even sane.
You in the presence of the champion, bow in the presence of greatness.
And I'm voting for Kanye West not because I think he's a good candidate or because he's good for the country or mentally stable. I don't believe that this is a sane man. However, I don't want to vote at all. I feel like no matter if I vote Democrat or Republican, I'm voting against my self-interest. And I could be wrong about Trump. I could be misjudging the thing. It wouldn't be the first time I was wrong about something, right? And I could be wrong about, Biden's tax plan, right? I don't know. I could be wrong about a lot of things. I'm just voting for Kanye West. Just symbolic. Yeah, I voted. I knew my vote wouldn't count anyway. Not like that. We know what's going to happen in New York. We know how the Electoral College worked. Perhaps if I lived in a swing state, I'd take it more seriously. But I live in New York. I know what's up. So voted for Kanye West because I didn't really want to vote for anyone. But I will say this, every once in a while I talk to like a black guy and, he's like trying to get his business started and he'll say something to me like, yo, I don't have no money. And I've been there. I ain't had no money neither, but I didn't sit around being broke. The way I thought about it, I was like, listen, man, a lot of people gave their lives and sacrifice for me to have the opportunity to make something happen here in America. I have opportunities that my grandparents didn't have. They were black and they couldn't do some of the things. They couldn't do a lot of things I could do now. They couldn't even interracially date legally. They couldn't go to the same places. It was segregation. They couldn't attend the same colleges. It was a lot of restrictions, and people fought to change that. If they did all that sacrifice just for me to sit around playing Xbox like a little and just sit around being poor or complaining, right? So what I do is I hustle. I grind every day, man. I came from nothing. I brought myself from nothing, and I made a bunch of money. I got like 15 employees. I'm getting it popping. I'm creating jobs for other people, and I don't say that to brag. I just say that to all of you guys, man. Like, yo, it doesn't matter who's in power or not. You have the power now to actually make something happen. You have opportunities that I didn't have, especially if you're younger than me, right? I'm almost 40. You have opportunities if you're a young person that I didn't have when I was your age. The internet wasn't like this. I couldn't just make a video and then put it on the internet. I wish there was something like Uber. Like I could have drove Uber when I was broke, right? When I was homeless, when I was living in my car, when I was working for a moving company, hard ass work. You mean to tell me I could have just drove people around? And no matter who wins, I want y'all to know that y'all got opportunities right now, no matter who wins, to be successful. You just have to put in the work. You just have to go for it. You have to work harder no matter what happens. Even if Kanye West's goofy ass gets elected, like, you still gotta work hard. Joe Biden ain't coming to save you. Donald Trump ain't coming to save you. People get rich under Democratic presidents and people get rich under Republican presidents. You gotta work. No, they're not gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna do it for you. That's another reason I don't get caught up in all this, man. Because I know if it's gonna be, it's up to me. And keep that attitude, man. That's why I can be friends with people on the left and the right. It's all about me. It's all about my work ethic and what I put in. I go hard every day. I see people complaining about being broke, and I'm like, yo, man, how many hours a week do you work? Oh, I work, 48 hours. Man, that's You know, when I was broke, I woke up at 4 a.m., started training people at 5 in the gym. Now I work from 5 to around 9, shower in the gym, take my ass downtown, work security from 10 to 6. Then from 7 to 10, I worked for a moving company. I did that 5 days a week. And on the weekends, I trained people in the morning and I managed a restaurant the other day. This is 12 to 14 hour days, 7 days a week. I did that for 2 years till I had enough money to get it popping out here. It didn't matter who was president. I wasn't going to make shit happen. I wasn't going to succeed unless I put in that work. And you guys got to remember that. Kanye West 2020.